All right, welcome back, everybody. With Tom Cruise having another movie coming out this summer, the new Mission Impossible, we're going to talk about Cocktail. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about the first Mission Impossible.
Dude, I love Cocktail. Such a good movie.
Oh gosh, no, we're gonna just talk about Mission Impossible and look at it from the idea of if that was coming out today, the original, not the second half of Dead Reckoning, would that still be cool now based on what we've seen in the other movies since then? This is specifically just the first movie, though, even though I'm going to be commenting quite a bit on all of them.
All the sequels.
But some of us haven't seen all of them. That guy over there.
Turtle.
Yeah, Turtle hasn't seen all of them either.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Turtle has seen most
The
of
Juice
them.
hasn't seen them all.
But, so yes, the first Mission Impossible. The fun thing I think about the first Mission Impossible that I would love to get your all thoughts on. Did you notice, and you wouldn't, but did you notice, all the Mission Impossible movies, typically have gunfights. The first Mission Impossible has zero gunfights. Ethan Hunt never once fires a gun, and I think there's only 3 gunshots the entire movie.
They're the assassination.
That was a knife.
Was it?
Assassination was a knife.
Was it a knife? Oh yeah.
Well,
okay.
you have the gun when he was like shooting himself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the fake,
yeah.
the
Okay,
fake
the
shooting
fake-
himself.
Yeah.
Fake 2 shots, and then he double shoots in the train. I think at the end. That's it. Is it? That's it. Yeah.
I don't remember where the shots were, but
So it was
there's
just the
very
villain.
little gunplay. It's very much.
Yeah. So just one guy.
Yeah.
John White is the only guy shooting around crazy. In the movie. That's it. That's it.
Which surprises nobody considering present day.
Oh goodness. But no, I just thought so. They go and greenlight Mission Impossible, and they supposedly try to bring in the cast from the show to be a part of it, but they plan to
I didn't know
kill them all
that.
off. They want to kill the entire original cast off in the first act.
Okay, so hold on a minute.
So they wanted to Emilio Estevez them.
Yes.
I'm gonna be the dumb guy because I am. I did not know there was a show.
Oh, there's a TV show.
What?
I did
Yes,
not know
it
there
is
was
based on a pretty old TV show from the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
You're
Nope.
not attached to the old cultural zeitgeist of anything before the 90s.
It's like
No,
I
sir.
think it was like a more serious Get Smart kind of.
Yeah.
So Get Smart was also a TV show. If you didn't know that. It was all like gadgety fun.
He's all like,
thing,
"What's
but
Get
yeah.
Smart?"
Yeah.
We'll just say I
Do
did.
you even
yeah.
know Inspector Gadget?
I do know Inspector.
Okay.
Wasn't that a
At least
cartoon? in the
At least we
90s?
have that.
Wasn't that a cartoon in the 90s? It was in the 90s. We're good.
Okay.
It was also a few not good movies. But yes, it was a cartoon first.
Shout out to Matthew Broderick.
But no, anyway. Well, he was only in the first one, right?
one,
And
yeah.
then somebody else.
Somebody else took
but
over.
anyway.
They made more. So-
Yeah, there's more than
sorry.
one. But yeah, that's not. We're
Let's
not talking
go
about that.
there. Yeah.
But no, the cast was like, "You're bringing us in and just immediately killing us off. Screw you. No, we're not going to participate." And then apparently, a good chunk of the cast members who went and saw the movie, there was reports of them walking out in the middle of the movie saying how they just hated it.
Really?
Yeah, because it was such a departure from the TV show. Even to the point that I don't remember the names, but the studio head or somebody with the studio asked somebody associated with that was making the show to come actually on set and wanted them to be on set for the movie to be almost like a consultant.
Yeah.
And the director just said, "You're going to hate being here, and we're going to argue every single day. So you probably shouldn't just not be here."
The director is Brian De Palma. He made Scarface. He made very thriller murder movies, which is kind of what this is too.
Yeah.
So he just was like, I'm taking this a serious route. So they don't try to. I still love how they had gadgets and technologies all through there, but they don't try to overdo it.
Red light, green light.
Yeah, they did not overdo it at all, which is actually one of the things that I loved about this movie is they kept it even the mask, everything
That was
that
practical.
that it was just, it's fantastic. It just kept everything so grounded. And at that point in time in my life, especially, I wanted more grounded stuff, more realistic stuff, more gritty stuff that just like was a little less like these days. I'm like, yeah, give me the wacky, give me like go over the top. I'm fine with that. But back then, it was just just wanting to get something more serious and more real. And Mission Impossible kind of nailed a lot of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think actually what impressed me most about this movie was, and I did see it when I was a kid, but then I went and rewatched it again. Is it was like an anti-spy movie. You know, it was definitely like not like, oh, I'm going to be a spy and I'm going to go and do my mission and that.
It was an
kinda stuff.
inside job for
Right.
spies, like
Yeah.
to get rid of. Yeah, like it was.
It was really cool.
It was like you actually get to see like a viewpoint into like what it is like, not just to be a spy, but when a spy has been betrayed.
right.
And I always thought that was fascinating.
Spy versus spy.
Yeah.
All right, so I was going to say
I
this, but
love
that's
that
a
Nintendo
perfect
game.
segue.
Mhm.
I was going to say this, but it's a perfect segue. You said a whole, they're being betrayed, spy versus spy. For those of us that have seen all the other Mission Impossibles, have you noticed that they almost recycle the exact same story
Oh, yeah.
over and over and over?
He's a man on the run. You're disavowed.
Exactly.
Disavowed.
Yeah,
How
so
many times
first
has Ethan
movie-
Hunt been
first
disavowed?
movie, 1996, Jim Phelps, which was Ethan Hunt's team
Yeah.
leader, played by John Voight, he betrays the IMF to make money by selling the knock list, and Ethan Hunt is framed for it and disavowed. Mission Impossible 2, Sean Ambrose,
Mhm.
Ethan Hunt's colleague that has
Yeah.
doubled him many times, played by Doug
Played-
Ray Scott,
yeah.
betrays the IMF to make money via a pharmaceutical company with a cure to the Chimera virus.
Mhm.
Mission Impossible 3, Musgrave, Ethan Hunt's supervisor, played by Billy Crudup. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
It's screwed up.
Crudup, okay.
Yep.
Betrays the IMF to make money with Owen Davian selling the rabbit's foot, and Ethan is framed and disavowed. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. There's no IMF traitor. But Ethan Hunt is disavowed when framed for bombing the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible Rogue Nation from 2015. Solomon Lane, not IMF, but
Yeah.
an MI6 agent
Yeah.
turned terrorist, played by Sean Harris. Ethan Hunt is disavowed because he's framed as the terrorist. All right. Mission Impossible Fallout. August Walker, a CIA agent this time, played by Henry Cavill, betrays the CIA and frames Ethan Hunt as a terrorist. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning,
Hey,
Part
don't
1.
spoil it
He's
for
already
me. Don't
disavowed,
spoil,
right?
Don't spoil it for me.
I'm not going to spoil it.
It's not
gonna
this
spoil
is gonna be
it.
a spoiler. I
It's
guarantee.
Plug ears. Plug
It's
ears.
not going to spoil it. There is no IMF, CIA, or MI6 traitor in that one.
Mhm.
But he is on the run. Every single movie.
That's maybe that's why after 3 they all blur together for me.
Mm-hmm.
I watched them all, but I never rewatched any of them because I didn't love them. I do love 1.
Yeah.
I love it, and I guess I'm kind of playing my hand a little early here, partly because of the cinematography.
Mhm.
Like I think we need to talk a little bit about the cinematography, like the way the shots are framed, the way the coloring, everything, like the way the scenes are split, like almost like I won't say comic book style. I would have thought it would be like maybe a throwback to the TV show, but I don't know because I've never actually watched the TV show.
I think
No,
at most I've seen
he's
like the
known
opener,
for
but
using the
that's it.
split screen to like show several things in flight. I love the color part. You can see him hanging in the CIA. The black and white of how well the CIA room is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's all practical. He's
There-
hanging down, and it's so perfect contrast of him. Perfect lighting. Even in the train, when he's explaining we're gonna heist from the CIA Langley headquarters, it's this slow panning shot from Ring James and Rames and
Being Rami's.
Leon, the Leon guy, and then it pulls into what Tom Cruise is, and it's like this really cool. I really knew, I know of Dutch angle, which is like you just shove the camera
do-
up from below.
You kind of do some
Yeah.
weird thing, and it's at an angle.
That's when Tom Cruise's world is collapsing. When he sits and he talks to Kittredge, then it's suddenly the angle is you're like, what the heck is? Why is he like this? It's because his world is now disoriented. He's like, wait, everyone here was already in the embassy, so you have another team this was just a mole hunt. Like the way he showed that.
Mm.
Well, so for me, so two things that I want to call out on the cinematography for me. One, about the opening, where they actually show flashes of later on in the movie, like
Right.
during, like,
That
but
never
you don't really
happened.
see.
That
Some of
never
them,
happened.
some of them never happen. I think
There was
they,
a love scene between Ethan Hunt and John Voight's like wife
Yeah.
that never actually happens in the movie.
it was
the-
kind of implied though.
It's implied,
yeah.
but that
That's-
scene never happens.
See, in when you're writing a book, that's what's called the unreliable narrator, and I love that because it makes
Wait.
it look like it's one
Do
thing.
you think it's unreliable narrator, or do you think they cut?
I think there was some
Bunch of
cuts
stuff.
because, like, I swear there was some flash. I mean, those flashes came by quick, but I swear there were some of them that were actual shots from the movie. I thought that was interesting because you don't often see movies that do that. The second thing I wanted to point out was that restaurant with the fish tanks.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the colored, like the blue, just like really stood out to me. And like you're looking at them walking up to it, you're like, that looks dangerous. Like, why would anybody do that? Like, there's gonna be fish everywhere at some point. And then, sure enough,
Well, I mean, yeah, and that of course is one of the more famous scenes for Tom Cruise running.
Oh yeah.
So
he
Well,
had never
he
done.
runs in every movie.
He had never done an action movie till then. I think this was his first like
Top
pivot
Gun doesn't count as an action movie.
well, where he's doing
Stunt.
the action, I guess.
stunt.
Okay, I'll give you
stunt
that.
work. So Top Gun's an action movie, but it's more drama too. I think
Yeah.
a lot more than this. So I'll ask a big question, and even watching it now, the plot is so convoluted. I feel
It
like
is
the
a bit
plot is
confusing.
very, very complex. I'm like, when I was a kid, I was like, wait, what did he learn from that Bible? What the heck? And I did not understand that when he meets John White
The
later,
Gideons.
right? Yeah. And so he's John White is telling a version, but Tom Cruise in his head is looking at the true version of what happened. John White is like Kittredge did it,
Mm-hmm.
but Tom Cruise is like
he
figured
already
out.
figured it
oh,
out by that point.
He
Yeah.
figured out it's John White, so he's trying to like playing that in his head. I did not know that as a kid.
Well, see, that's
I was
what
like,
Well,
so
I mean, but it
confused.
is a little above a kid. I'll give you that.
that leans into the whole thing, the unreliable narrator thing I was talking about. They showed you one thing to make you believe that you're seeing one thing. And then it actually ended up being something completely different. And I love how the movie flips that.
Well, so it's funny you say
and
that.
actually comes back and explains that. Like, you're absolutely right. The whole, like, Tom Cruise's, Ethan Hunt's, like, viewpoint is totally different. Like, he saw something different than what was being told to him.
Yeah, the
It was,
dialogue
again,
is different.
Again, it's
from his
unreliable
view.
narrator being fed to you, so they're not actually treating the audience as stupid. And I love that. It's like they're not spoon feeding you everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny you say that because we just had that episode about James Bond, and in my mind, the twist in that one was not obvious.
There's-
with Sean Bean actually being the traitor. But in this one, I
Is
was
that because
like,
Sean Bean always dies and you just assumed he was dead?
no, I mean, I guess. But anyway, in this one, I really feel like from the beginning, I was like, yeah, his boss is totally the bad guy. Like, there's no way it was someone else. Like, the way he was acting during his, like, running away because he'd been found out or whatever. And then, like, the angle of the gun was all weird. Like,
Yeah.
okay, he definitely shot himself there. So it was funny because, like, when I was a kid and I saw this, it definitely seemed convoluted, confusing. And then I rewatched it now, and some of that, yes, was still
You have to play a
convoluted.
lot of close attention.
Yeah, you have to pay attention.
There is a
but
lot of
the main-
subtle connective tissue.
But the main thing you're trying to figure out the whole movie, like, was so obvious to me from the get go. I'm like, oh yeah, it was definitely him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Looking back now, they obviously tried to make the Kittredge character look evil a lot, like this angry boss of like, oh, you did it, I'm gonna, you know. And he frames his parents. I completely forgot that plot line when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking at that, I was like, oh, I
They're
forgot that
drug
happened.
smugglers?
Yeah, they're
The-
drug
The
smugglers. and
Kittredge
shit.
guy was
Yeah.
your standard, like, damn it, Ethan, you're a loose cannon. Like, you know, that kind of
your
guy.
gun in your
Turn in
badge.
your gun in your badge. That's what they definitely leaned a little heavy
Yeah.
into that on.
He
on
came back
this.
for the most latest one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
he's back
sorry,
in.
spoilers.
No, I mean,
Sorry.
he's been
He was in the trailer, so you knew.
He-
that.
He was in the trailer, and also he's been in the more recent ones, not even just Dead Reckoning, but he was in another one at least. So, I think
Really? I
so.
thought it
Maybe
was
maybe I'm
Dead
wrong, but it was like
Reckoning.
I think it was whatever the one was before Dead Reckoning. Again, they all kind of blend
Rogue
together.
blur
for me.
together,
Yeah.
yeah.
they all
Maybe, or
blend together.
Fallout,
Yeah.
Fallout.
And
Fallout, I think. But no, so I want to go back to, you mentioned the whole, both of you did actually, the big aquarium place. I had seen years ago an interview with Tom Cruise, and they were asking him something about that, and he was like, yeah, so like when they're setting up that shot, they're like, all right, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and count to 3, and then we'll hit it, and you know, you run. And he's like, well, wait, are you gonna do 1, 2, 3, and then hit it, or are you gonna like hit it on 3? And they're just like, well, I mean, we'll like count to 3 and hit it. And he's like, no, guys, when are you going to actually push the button?
Yeah.
And they're all confused, like, what's the problem? And he's like, all this water is going to come down on me. I need to know exactly when to run.
Yeah. It's crazy professionals didn't think about that. It's like that is thousands of gallons of water.
Yeah.
Like that's
That's not gonna be a shot easy
that's
to
gonna
reset up.
take your feet out.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I
Oh.
wonder if that was a single take thing for them.
I think it was.
I think it was. I think I saw the making of it, and I think it was. They got it on the first one.
Oof, man.
I
Because
think-
he was
correct-
adamant of
Correct
knowing
me
when
if
to
I'm
run.
wrong.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think I saw that.
A tech nerd call out when so it's Ving, not Rames, it's Rams.
It's Ving Rhames, I think.
Really?
Or
I always
maybe
hear
it's
Ving
maybe
Rhames.
it's
Dude, you're just
Rhames.
making his name weirder
Ving-
than every time you say it.
Okay,
Ving
Ramses? No, Rams.
Dave
No, like I
Ramsey?
could spell it for you. I don't know. I guess I
I'm
don't know
gonna
how to say
pronounce
it.
Ving
So
Rhames,
his character,
but I
the
don't know.
hacker,
Maybe
right?
it is Rames. Sorry.
So the hacker guy, he's like, did you see when they're like, hey, we're gonna get you the latest equipment to hack, and he's like, IBM 686
Yeah.
thinking machines with the enhanced AI
The
chip.
AI chip? I'm like, wait, what?
AI chip? 1996.
We're just getting those
Yeah.
now.
It's not a chip, though. It's in the cloud.
No, I mean the
Is-
Nvidia
and-
stuff has AI stuff.
Everything's
on
about
all
the
of
cloud.
it.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
686
yeah.
before x86? I think so, right? Maybe.
686, no. I
Is it
think
the same x86?
No,
no, I
because
think that's just the
there's a no.
processors.
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
processor
Architecture.
levels because I know this because we had a 386 that
Yeah.
came out right before the 486, which could have done full VGA graphics, and I was pissed because I was playing Wheel of Fortune without full VGA graphics with my 386.
But here you
And
go.
they
You gotta
were
remember,
all
the government
x86.
has stuff like
Yeah,
20
they're all
years before
x86.
we do.
Oh,
So
sure.
we're just now getting it, but they had it.
Yeah, the top of the line government
And
stuff.
his thing
So-
is, I love the point where he's like, and I get to keep the
Keep it.
equipment, right?
Yeah.
It's just like,
I would so do that too. If it were me in that position, like, and I get to keep it right.
Okay, one thing I have to bring up is the scene, the iconic scene. We've already touched on it a little bit in the computer room,
Yeah, I got
coming through
comments
the
about that,
events, and what
With the
I
most
loved when I
unobservant
was
CIA agent ever.
when I was a kid and as an adult, and I didn't even get a chance to rewatch the movie. I just remember all of it pretty much. Like that scene, the attention to detail for everything that they had to time, and like even like the little like everybody else's jobs. Like it was a team effort. It wasn't just like everybody just remembers the whole thing. He falls and does this. Like that's the thing. But the entire scene is just a master class in both filmmaking, writing, and then like anticipation and like being kind of like a thriller basically. Like will he touch? Won't he? Like they because they spelled out everything ahead of time, but it wasn't an exposition dump. It was just part of natural conversation. It was just kind of a masterclass leading up to that whole thing. And then the execution was pretty, even down to like the person putting a little bit of like stuff in the coffee. So the guy had to
Yeah.
go to the bathroom. Like even little details
Claire,
like
one of
that.
the few
So
Like
things
there
she
was
did.
there was everything like set up pretty much perfect, I think.
okay, you
So
get something.
I do love the scene,
Mhm.
but I'm also very nitpicky about it.
Okay.
Oh boy.
First thing I was going to mention is that the floor, when the guy walks in and he's just hanging above him, waiting, it's essentially a mirror surface.
Oh yeah, why does he
Even the
never look
slight
down?
little like
Yeah.
swaying he's doing, you're gonna notice movement
Yeah.
and you're gonna look down. Like
Look down
most
or look
unobservant CIA agent on the planet.
up. Hey, he was
So-
sick. Okay.
He was sick, and he's now manning a radio tower in
But-
Alaska.
yeah, that's
fair
true.
to say.
So there was that.
Mhm.
there is the fact that when he was in there, he started, throwing up in a trash can, right? Why is there a trash can in there?
Why would
so
there
that he
be?
can try to throw up. in there.
Who's cleaning that room if he's the only person with access?
Oh, was
Why?
he? Was he the
Why
only one
would
with
they
access?
allow
Was
him to
that
bring in
clear?
food and drink to where he would have trash?
Yeah, but if you're gonna spend many hours in there, maybe that's allowed.
I mean,
I don't know.
He did
There's
bring
some.
a drink in there.
There is some.
remember?
I know that. I
Mhm.
know you're being nitpicky.
I'm
That
admitting
is,
I'm being nitpicky.
but I'm just sitting here thinking, like, if you're in there all day and this is your job, you're gonna probably have a trash can.
But for what?
You know, like
Dude,
in
it's
case you
such
have to
a-
puke. Like
Wait,
maybe
wait,
you
wait,
come
it's
into your
such
work
a-
and you're sick.
For your
bring the
trash.
drink in part.
Yeah.
But
The-
you don't
bring the
keep
drink
putting a
in
drink
part.
in there.
No.
He
That's
did
the
drink.
thing.
But he did.
Bring the drink in part. It's such an America thing that the mainframe computer has a. It has a drink holder.
There's
I
a
think.
cup holder.
There's a
Yeah.
cup
Oh,
holder,
did
and
it?
he puts the cup in
I
there.
didn't notice
Yeah.
that.
So it's
Yeah.
obviously allowed.
Yeah.
So
Okay, maybe
and,
so, maybe so,
and-
but I don't
and-
think it would be
and,
allowed.
and then I acknowledge the whole point, like he's not like super observant, but I'm like going, that's just a tension thing for the movie. They gotta have something like. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like all the other small details, like the team. I think it's more the teamwork thing. Everybody
Yeah.
had their job, and everybody executed,
Very,
and it was
very
and it
Ocean's
did
11
not. It
before
did, yeah,
Ocean's 11.
it
Exactly.
did not go exactly to plan, but they still executed on it, and I love that. And I think that's why that scene is still fondly remembered to this
Yeah.
day.
And I think I remember they're driving away after that, and they
Mm.
all look like so exhausted. They're
Mhm.
like they don't even talk to each other. They're
Yep.
just like.
And that's
driving.
also pretty real.
Yeah.
Well,
It's just-
I didn't take it as exhaustion from that. I took it as in like nobody but Ethan Hunt knew what they were stealing
Now
because
they all
Ving
know
Rhames,
what
when
you
he
think
saw
they
that
were
it was
angry at him?
innocuous, he was like, oh my god! I think it was more like shock of to what they just
Oh
did.
really?
Not so much like, oh my god, I'm exhausted. I did it. It's
Yeah.
just like
I was
we
I was
just
getting
stole
exhaustion.
I guess
Because
that's a
Ving
fair, that's a
Rhames-
fair, that's a
CIA.
fair
That's true.
point.
Ving Rhames later says, I think Tom Cruise says to Ving, because this is the scene, right, where Jean Reno thinks he has the knock list. He actually does.
Mhm.
Tom Cruise just does some magic tricks, convinces him he doesn't. He throws it
Yeah,
in the
apparently he
trash.
actually learned sleight of hand to do that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
He picks it up out of the trash can and he gives it to Vin Rhames. And he said, the reason you keep it safe. And he's like, I trust you because you wouldn't have done this job if you knew what we were stealing. Because if he told them, like, it's the knock list, they would have been like... I mean, so clearly Jean Reno, the Leon, but I don't know.
Leon the professional.
Yeah, that's who I know. Leon the professional.
He was Claire's pick, so she clearly brought him in as
Well,
having this.
she was one of
guy
the
on-
bad guys.
Yeah, she's one
Yeah.
of the bad guys. That's why she brought him in. And
Jean Reno.
Jean
Yeah.
Reno. Yeah, I said his name.
Yep.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you
I've
did
seen
it.
him in
Yep,
a ton
yep.
of stuff, but yeah, I never knew his name.
Yeah. So that dude's. There's so many iconic things. His knife falling down.
Yeah.
From and like tongue, and he opens the door.
Did you pick up
Okay,
on that though?
so
Yeah.
Not the falling in thing. When he first was gonna
Kill
kill one of
the-
those guys, and he like slams his arm and stops him. That's when he sees the knife and recognizes
The same as
the
the who
knife from earlier.
killed his
and so-
partner,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's
in the
why he was
beginning,
like, "This is," So he starts putting clues together as far back as that, before he even
Mhm.
sees the Gideon Bible.
So he already knew
Those damn
he's-
Gideons.
He's
I
the
still
bad
remember
guy.
that line.
Yeah, he already knew. So Jean Reno is bad. Jim is bad. Claire, he's still unsure
Yeah.
on.
He's iffy.
He's
That's why he
iffy.
does the little mask thing.
Yeah, and then he clarifies that.
he clarifies
Yeah.
that.
Clarifies that. Yeah.
But hey, before we go too far away though, one more thing about the drop-in.
Mm-hmm.
This is not me a nitpick. This is just the thing I read, and I was like, if this is real, I wish there was footage of this. Apparently, they kept doing that over and over, and he kept banging his head on the floor
Oh.
over and over and over until he had the idea. He put a bunch of coins in his shoes to help counterbalance so that he wouldn't keep hitting
Oh,
his head.
yeah.
I was like, if that's true, I'd love to see the footage of him just don't over and over.
He's gonna be hanging there. They're like, guys,
Oh yeah,
I'm
one
not
more
weighted
nitpicky.
right.
He's 2 inches off the freaking ground. Yeah, he somehow can go down like this and catch
Oh
a droplet
yeah,
of sweat.
that's that was a missed opportunity. They should have just done back of the hand catch. I think like this.
Yeah,
Because
that
you
would've
can
been more
clearly
believable,
tell
like-
that's a completely separate shot that they set
Right,
up with
yeah.
the hand, with the water drop and all that.
Mhm.
And that, like, yeah,
But
that's
was it
supposed to-
cool?
Yeah, it was cool. It's freaking cool.
See,
Well,
there
no,
we
it was
go.
hot because he was sweating.
It was. Shut up. We don't need your dad humor. Get out of here.
We were joking about. I think I said toast.
Toast?
Like
Toast.
when it goes to Red
yeah,
Bar.
Toast.
Yeah.
But okay, here's my nitpick with that is like, why do they even have the green, yellow, red thing when all that really matters was once they got all the way to the very top of the red? Like, why did that matter to them to have those levels?
They just wanted more resolution.
To know,
Well,
to know
they
you're,
wanted-
you're in the red, you're so close to blowing the mission, shut up.
Yeah.
I mean, but why'd they need the green and yellow? It could have just been a bar.
That is a nitpick of nitpicks right there.
It is a
so
nitpick. I
we're
will-
really scraping the bottom of
Why
the
is it
barrel
multicolored
here
bars
for-
that are one solid color?
Why wasn't it rainbow?
Yeah.
No, but for real, like I don't know, it doesn't make
See,
sense.
one thing I thought was the Jean Reno when he climbs up to the vent. Why is he greeting him with a knife in his hand? He's like, "Mercy," and he takes the necklace. And he's got was he gonna kill Ethan right there
No,
and
Yeah,
run
yeah.
away?
I think
like,
he killed the mouse.
But
with
he
the
did use the
knife?
knife.
Yeah.
I don't think
he used
you
the
didn't
knife
see
for
any
that.
mouse blood anywhere.
And
I
also,
know, but
okay,
that's probably what
the
it was
mouse
for,
is
though.
already dead. He was using 2 hands on the rope. Then he was like, "Oh, let me take my knife."
Yeah, let me
again."
pick my knife back up.
Yeah,
And
no,
like,
no,
you
I
know.
think that was just another thing that was a nod towards like who is the real bad guy.
Oh, do you think they were
Like,
trying
I
to show
think it was-
us the second time? Look at this knife in slow motion.
I don't know.
I think I think it was just basically like there's a lot of misdirection of like who could be the bad guy, how many people are the bad guys. And there's just another way because they kept showing him as pretty shady, and it was just another like that's threatening. So from a director's point of view, it'd be like, how do you convey that to the audience? That would be my guess. That's my guess.
But you
as
could
to why
also,
they would do
like,
that.
he pulled out the knife to kill the mouse. Maybe the mouse turned around and ran away, and he just still had it in his hand.
No, there's a mouse dead
Yeah.
body next to him.
Well, that's why it was
I saw that.
plausible. So that's why that's why it's kind of genius. It's like going. It's not only threatening, but it's also plausible because he was maybe going after a mouse that was gonna, make him turn into toast.
Yeah. I have a question about your thoughts on the music.
I thought it was great.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I know where they pulled it in.
So the reason I'm asking your opinions on the music,
Was it Danny Elf?
it was Danny Elfman,
Yeah.
but
I didn't know that.
The
he
theme.
was not originally the composer on this movie.
Oh.
There was another person that was brought in, apparently wrote probably 23, 25, something like that, minutes worth of music before he was taken off of the project.
So
There's-
someone else came and
Someone
composed
else
first.
was actually in doing it first, had actually got music, and there are bootleg copies out there with this person's music in there. The original composer was the one that I've gone on and on about that's done Back to the Future,
Oh
Forrest
my
Gump,
gosh,
Avengers.
no
it was
way.
Alan Silvestri.
It was
Oh,
Silvestri.
What?
okay.
And there is music. You can literally pull
Why'd
up
they kick
scenes
him
on
out? What
YouTube where
happened?
they put his music in there. And depending on the scene, some scenes, I was watching them back to back. Some scenes I do prefer Danny Elfman's.
Mm-hmm.
Some scenes, like there's a whole scene with the helicopter when it's chasing the train and going
Mhm.
through into the tunnel that has Alan Silvestri's music composed on it. I like his better.
Oh.
Apparently, one of the reasons they moved on is both the director and Tom Cruise didn't care for Silvestri's music because it had a bit of a slightly different tone and had use of electric guitar.
Okay.
And I think the music actually sounds very good. But like I said, depending on the scene, like they have it with the train scene. I think they've also done it with the scene in the restaurant with the water there. You can watch that. And I'm like, Danny Elfman's is a little better.
I think
there.
the train scene was one of actually the weaker parts of the music of the movie.
Yeah.
It was actually reminiscent of the freaking race scene in James Bond. It was like
Yeah.
kind of just like noises, not very
Yeah.
musically.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
you know,
we all. I think the best part we always remember is when he jumps on the helicopter and the Mission Impossible theme kicks
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
That's
Wait,
the
let's
coolest
do
part.
this.
Yeah.
I'll cut here and then pick back up afterwards. But go ahead and pull that up.
Okay.
So
I
you
was
guys
wanting to
can
do
say
that.
what you think about
I was
it.
absolutely wanting to do that. I was sitting here thinking like, I'm gonna do this later.
No, I'm like, pull it up because I want to get your guys'
So
thoughts.
there's
And I'll,
direct YouTube video
Yeah.
about like
yeah,
sure.
I'll include the link to this in the description and everything if you want
Mission
to go watch it yourself.
Impossible.
But then we'll just
Alan
cut forward
Silvestri.
to talking about what you guys think of it.
Okay, back to it.
Yep.
So if y'all didn't notice, we just cut away and we actually went and watched the alternate version of that train scene. And I think I agree the Alan Silvestri version was cooler. It was better, but for sure I would think overall the movie's music still was pretty great. The
Yeah, I
train
didn't have a
scene,
problem with the music at all, but I was like, I mean, everyone
Mhm.
here and anyone who's actually watching knows I have a fondness for Silvestri and his music. So even leaving that aside, I still just liked it better in certain scenes
yeah.
than Danny Elfman's. But there were other scenes where I'm like, his felt a little too epic for what was going on, like in the restaurant scene, where Danny Elfman's was better there because it's a little more muted.
The Silvestri one, just from that one scene, I haven't seen what you were just talking about. It's like that's definitely the type of the music that's trying to lead your emotions. Like it's
Mhm.
trying to
But
be like,
that's what
okay,
music in a movie is supposed to do.
and it is, but it's too much because you're already getting that from the scene to the point to where it almost takes away from me. Like there,
Right.
like we're talking about like leading into
I
the
get what you're
tunnel,
saying now. It's like
leading
the
Yeah.
music becomes a focus rather than being a
It's-
supporting.
So what
rather
he's
than
saying
rather than
is
just being
he
kind of
hates
there.
Indiana Jones. He hates Star Wars. He
He
hates
hates
Back to
the
the Future.
No, I think he's
No!
trying to
He
say it
hates
works.
Avengers.
I think
It
he's trying to say it
works.
works
Jewel of
in
he
those
hates
movies.
Jaws.
Oh god, you just
all
won't
the
stop. You
all
won't
the
stop.
scores you remember because they were so great.
I hate all
Then they
of
let 'em.
those. All of those classics. Hate them entirely because of their music. Their dumb music. Their dumb, epic, bombastic scores.
He hates the
terribleness.
RoboCop music. You know, he just hates it because it leads your emotions.
Yeah, no. Seriously though, I actually like part of that. Like the first half of the train scene, I like Silvestri's leading into the tunnel, and then when it got to the tunnel, I actually like the Alien style Danny Elfman version of it, where it was less the focal point, more on because like you got a freaking helicopter chasing after a bullet train in a tunnel with a guy hanging on that. You don't want to like, like just going crazy until they actually cut to the music, like the epic, the Mission Impossible song. Like when that happens, it underscores everything until that point.
But
And then you
that
get the
illustrates my point
payoff, and that's
exactly.
awesome. I
Is
think
the
in
fact
my
that
opinion.
like in certain sections, Silvestri's was better, but in other sections, Danny Elfman's.
Yeah,
was
no, I
better.
bet you if we went through all of it and it, like actually was properly mixed, I'd be like, I like this one better. I like this one better. But it depend. It'll be scene dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about the Silvestri version is, for people, you can go search on YouTube, but it is definitely a big score. Of like, it feels massive. It feels like a big open battlefield scene that's epic proportions, and this scene is a little more tighter and like it's very close up on like two people struggling on a train with a third in the helicopter. So I feel like the setting of this is more smaller and the music video is bigger. But if it was mixed in well, I probably would have liked it.
Well, yeah,
The-
and like-
the- it's
Well, that's the
memorable.
thing. We don't have a
music.
mix of it. It's just
Yeah.
the music.
And
So.
well, and there's
Yeah.
there's just what I get when I watched that was there was so much promise to it that I wish I could have seen what it would have been like, because like you go to today and the only song you really remember is the title music.
Right.
And Alan Silvestri's, there could have been maybe multiple scores that we would still be like, oh yeah, that's that Mission Impossible song, So sad.
Talking about
I
it.
still love that right there. By the way, that
I wanted to
the
talk.
blade,
Yeah.
the blade
How do you
that
guys?
stopped.
Yeah,
I
how do
just
you
love
guys
that. Just
like the full? Everything's revealed now. We know this is a bad guy. This is this, and it's all gonna happen. So the final stunt starts of the movie, set piece. So how do you feel? Did you guys like the train set piece, the train and the helicopter set piece, or how do you feel?
I have one complaint.
Mhm.
And that's going very broad with the idea that, like, oh yeah, somebody flew a fucking helicopter into a small ass tunnel. No, they didn't. No, my small complaint is like when he's about to use the little gum stuff to blow him up. Instead of just doing it, he's like, red light, green light. I'm like, would you really do that? Like, he could have just tilted the thing and thrown you off the
It's a
helicopter.
little
real
bit
quick.
over the
no,
top,
you're like,
yeah.
get up there and blow him up.
The explosion is
Movie
hilarious though, because
magic,
Tom
come
Cruise is like thrown from
Yeah.
it, and it's like the green screen is a little apparent where he's just blown. You're like, dude, that was like a tiny gummy
That-
you stuck that exploded. Like you don't get propelled forward that much.
I like the foreshadowing Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the
Well, I'm
force.
fine with him doing it. I
like,
didn't like him
and
yelling that.
I
Just
see. I was
squeeze it,
fine with
pop,
that because
go.
it's awesome with the scene with the adrenaline pumping. I'm like, okay, sure, that's great because it actually did set it up. Like, some movies where it would have been like a Deus Ex Machina and he just like throws a little bomb or whatever and he wins the
Mhm.
day. No, the red light, green light was all set up, and then like how he said it, sure, I get that, but I'm just like, at the time,
They
it's
even
fine.
foreshadow the
he didn't yell
person
red light,
flying.
green light when he used it earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, no,
but
no.
he wouldn't have. But this is the kind of a
The-
difference.
It's not. You don't have to yell that.
There's
to
a
make the
little
gun work.
adrenaline going on
Yeah.
here.
yeah.
That's when he's trying to say "fuck you."
Yeah.
Right.
like-
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why he did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask, before we get into voting,
Mhm.
does anyone have any final thoughts they want to throw out there about
Oh
anything?
dang, we're already final. No way, we're at final thoughts already.
Yeah.
I got so much more I want to talk about this movie.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah,
We've
yeah,
been going for about 45 minutes.
Look at. Oh, okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't even know what else is there to really talk about.
What did you want to
Like,
talk about?
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Can
real-
I please?
Can you do a brief?
Can
Go
I
ahead.
please
Go ahead.
at least talk about the thing I hated the most about this movie?
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, I said final thoughts.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's my final thought, but the thing I hated the most
It's
about
gonna
this
be his
movie
final
was Claire's presence. Like, I feel like she was not even an aspect of them. Like, she had no reason to even be there for most of the movie. She didn't play a huge role. She was just there to be eye candy, really.
She was there for John Boyd's character to get his cuckold rocks off.
I don't.
That's the only
Seriously,
reason.
like she played no big, like you were talking about Natalia in freaking Goldeneye, like she or you were, I can't remember, like she really
No.
did stuff. She
No,
was a
Andy.
crucial part of the story.
Mhm.
Claire was just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
Claire was there because I think she is the
She could've been
driver
reporting
for
back,
making
too.
him go steal again and trying to. I think there was something where John White says towards the end in the train of like he knew that Claire's charms would work on him,
Yeah,
even though Claire wasn't sure. So she was there mostly to motivate Tom Cruise to do.
But
But
as
then
a
why
but
don't-
as a-
he was
but as a-
motivated by the fact that he was disavowed.
there's a
They had nothing to
story
do with
reason
her.
for her to be there, but as a character,
Yeah.
she had like what we talked about in the GoldenEye episode. She had almost no agency, nothing to do herself. She was literally just there to drive the plot.
She was there to
forward.
take the bullet for
She-
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
For
and
Ethan Hunt.
to poison the guy.
and to
Yeah.
poison the guy. Those are like the two things she did the entire freaking movie.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
like the
She
whole
didn't have a
thing
real
with
job.
him like letting her off the hook too, like, but I kind of like you, so you're okay. Like, you're the bad guy, but you're fine.
She was dying. Why
What's
be
he
in her
gonna do?
face and be like, listen, bitch, while she's dying, like, you're dead. It's okay.
But he was like sentimental toward
The-
her. Like he didn't do that to his boss. He's like,
But
you know,
I mean,
screw
like,
you.
he just found out that she, like, he was suspicious, but he had just found out that she had, in fact,
That means he should have
betrayed
been
him.
even more angry. Like,
But he was also supposedly in love with her, too.
well, see, there's that too. Like they didn't really explain or like let that develop enough, for sure.
Yeah, they
Thou
just had
shalt
like
not
a
covet
covet.
thy neighbor's wife.
yeah.
yeah, and I mean Max says Job doesn't quote Bible, and then he comes and quotes the Bible right there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she does like a little peck on his cheek and maybe almost kisses him and goes away and then holds his hand a little.
Well, there's one time, like,
but
he's
that's
kind of,
it.
like, up in her face for a second, and, like, it just, it's really awkward for a moment, and then he pulls back.
But that's yeah. It was. They didn't develop it enough, and they didn't develop her enough. It just felt like there was no real
I think
reason for her to
yeah.
be there.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. Well, me being the host, my vote does not matter, but I actually really like the entire Mission Impossible series. Not necessarily because it's like, oh, fantastic, great writing that's worthy of Academy Awards and stuff like that. No, they're fun popcorn flicks. Like, they're absolutely enjoyable. I personally think Mission Impossible 1 is the worst of all of them,
Oh wow, that's a take.
Oof.
but by a very thin margin. Like, to me, they're all pretty even. Like, this one's not bad at all. I just like a little bit more action with it than this one has. Versus this one's a little more muted and a little more, like, it has action scenes, but it's more like spy thriller. They're not really like,
So Mission Impossible 2 really got your
no,
rocks off.
no.
You needed
Mission
that slow
Impossible
motion
2.
jumps.
Yeah,
Mission Impossible 2, I think the story is slightly better, but the action is like a little over the top and ridiculous. So it has points above this one, but then also has points below this one to essentially like make it even keel. Long story short, I like the entire series. I fully plan to go see the new one when it drops, but I would say this is still cool.
Cool. Okay.
So who wants to go next?
I can go. I'll say so. I'll fight you on the this is the worst. I think this. So you're right in the sense. I think this just sits different from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a psychological thriller, whodunit spy thing, right? Like with the really cool heist in the middle. Um, uh, but yes, it's very, very psychological. It's very, very character like, oh, you betrayed me. Like that's a big thing in here. Whereas in the other movies, betrayal is just like, yeah,
It's the name of the game.
name of the game is just double crossing left and right, right? And I think his stakes are bigger here because no other movie starts with his team being wiped. And this team, right? Like his team is actually I mean, one of the two characters I didn't get much, but the technician on top of the lift
Emilio
felt like
Estevez.
Emilio Estevez. Felt like
I was gonna say that's a sticking point for me. The fact that they killed Coach Bombay
Wait-
right at the beginning of the movie is a little annoying.
Way to go
Yeah.
with the dad joke, a sticking point.
Yeah.
I'm
You
just
sure was
saying.
stuck there.
Yeah, you definitely got
they-
stuck.
So
I just now realized what you were saying. Oh my gosh!
I
But
thought
no,
he
I
was
was
a
just
great
mad Coach
character.
Bombay died.
he was great. The other, the other character, I don't know her name. She was the one who's the inside in the embassy who greets him, takes him around, and is the partner going in there and dies at the gate, killed by
The French
Jean
dude.
Reno.
The
So
knife.
the knife dude, right? So I thought like those because they had banter, there are other things, and I like in the first 10 minutes, I really was like, oh, this is a cool team.
It got you attached to those characters
Yeah,
quickly.
Yeah, it did.
quickly, and then they killed everyone. And I don't think other Mission Impossible movies have spoilers, so I won't say it, but the most recent one, right? But they don't usually kill that often. It's very rare. And in here, it's like, here's an amazing team. Boom, everyone's dead.
Well, that's not true. Just people from his team that die all the time. It's not usually his whole team.
He's
Not
talking
his
about
whole
at the
team.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Not- yeah.
The very first setup in Mission Impossible 3, he is actually now a trainer, and he's actually not doing it.
yeah.
He's gonna get married, and the person he trained that just went down to the field got captured, and he has to go get her back, and she dies while he's trying to get her
Felicity,
back.
whatever her name is.
I don't know.
Felicity?
She played,
Jones?
she played a character, Felicity. No, it was like a show called Felicity. That's how I know her.
Well, he's making the point though, like his
yeah.
entire team at the
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
beginning
no,
goes
no.
out. Like,
So this is definitely more cerebral kind of movie, and the movie coloring and how it's done is very moody, and dark and high contrasty. So I feel like as cinematography, it feels like it's a little more artsy like that. The plot I feel is still a little complex. I don't think any other Mission Impossible has like that complexity there of layers of like, oh, this guy did this, and there's this now Max dealer in the middle. But yeah, so I thought it was really good. I loved the Langley heist, as improbable it might be. They still took great attention to detail. The little magnetic thing coming down and opening a screw and catching it is like
that was
burnt.
weird. Yeah,
I know
This
that
is
was like,
burnt in
how
my
did that
memory.
work?
I was like, oh my god, could we ever buy such thing? The whole laser grid thing, where they like redirect the laser through its path back into its thing. The attention to detail to that. As a kid, I was just like blown away. I was like, oh my god, this is so amazing.
Yeah.
And I thought that's how mainframe was accessed, right? Like then like they would put the Access computer in this big thing. It's probably in the middle of a huge data center, but Even
The mainframe was the data
when
center
she
back
shows
then.
up and hits in the beginning of the movie, she hits the button for the fingerprint and they're scanning and trying to match. That I thought actually looked pretty cool. But him on the internet sending Job messages to all Bible groups,
Yeah.
I was like,
The Usenets.
I completely forgot
yeah.
we were on voting because he's been going on for so long. And I'm like, wait, we're supposed to be voting. What's your vote, man?
And he's trying to get his
My
extra stuff.
Yeah,
Two cents
it's
in.
final thoughts here.
Oh my
Sorry,
God.
so I vote. It's still very cool. I vote it's. Even watching it now, I did not get disturbed, did not get distracted. I just sat and I was entertained, and I finished the movie. And there was the pacing, everything was amazing. Even the final stunt, I knew exactly what was going to happen, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like seeing that come, and I was like, "Yeah, there it is. The music's kicking in." So I
He knew
fully
he was
enjoyed
going to
it.
win with bubblegum.
Yeah.
Red light, great light.
So my vote is cool. It's awesome.
All right, Mike, what's up?
I guess I'll go next. Pretty much agree with everything Andy said. In that, like, it was one of those movies back then where there were a lot of movies that came out that weren't super grounded, and this one I wouldn't say is super grounded, but like when it came to like this isn't just a spy movie, it's like a spy movie. Like what's going to happen if you get betrayed? Like what happens on the inside? Like how do you work? And it shows like
You'll
how
have
they
6
work.
sequels.
It doesn't set up like the job, even though there's the job at Langley,
Mhm.
which is like, you know, how the spies would actually work, but like the internal like the stuff that goes on in
The
being a spy.
machinations.
The machinations of being a spy, pretty much. And I thought that was awesome. And then the movie just didn't treat the viewer as stupid. There was a lot of connective tissue that you can watch it over and over again, and you might not even connect quite everything. Like, you know, the whole, like you actually point out the perfect thing of like what he saw, and the movie does kind of show that, but like you might even miss it the first couple times you watch it, what Ethan Hunt's character saw versus like, you know, how John Voight's character was telling her, or everybody else's character was seeing it, totally different. And you at some point you figure out that he figured out all the connective pieces. And I think that was brilliantly done. And then you throw in I do like the soundtrack, Danny Elfman soundtrack. I think it was done really well. The cinematography is absolutely like to this day, I can't even think of another movie that quite looks like this. But like the coloring, the cinematography, the screen wipe sort of or screen effect sort of stuff, like this movie absolutely stands out and is by itself on an island as far as I'm concerned with the other Mission Impossible movies. And I'll actually agree with you there. I think they're all really good. I just think I'm the opposite, where I think Mission Impossible 1 it's on an island on its own. It is. It was the
different
original.
the way they did it.
Everybody, all the rest of them
Yeah.
kind of copied that and kind of dumbed it down. Not dumbed it down, but like streamlined it enough. Where this was just like messy enough to be like.
I think they made it
awesome.
like, let's get to the next stunt. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like-
and over time it did kind of. It was definitely a Tom Cruise stunt vehicle, and that's fine. I like that too. But this movie for me stands out even among all the other movies, not just Mission Impossible movies, but all the other movies that I watched, especially at the time in which I watched it, because it was like it took at least a small amount of intelligence to put everything together and to get all the things, and working through that was fun for me. So I appreciate the movie for that, and I love that. So for me, absolutely cool.
Yeah. As you were saying, I remember like thinking iconic things that I always remember. Even the shot of Ving Rhames or Rams or whatever in the fire truck, just looking left and right as he's parked outside Langley. Like that's also just burned in my memory. I don't know why. There's so many bits and pieces from this movie that are like forever in my memory, like seared in. Yeah.
Deuce.
All right.
Bring
Well,
us home.
my vote doesn't matter, and everything that I wanted to say has pretty much already been said. But I will say, like, there were definitely weak points to the movie, like the Claire character and the shot of him shooting himself being like totally obvious and stuff like this. But like overall,
I thought when they originally showed it, it was more cut in where you couldn't quite tell, and then later on you got to see more.
we can go watch it.
I
again
need,
after
yeah,
this,
I
'cause,
actually,
like,
and like I
it's
said,
so
I
obvious.
actually
But his
didn't get
was
a
the
chance to
weakest
rewatch it.
excuse of like how he died. Was
But
the gym
I remember
Yeah,
having
yeah.
that same problem, and I think I remember rewatching it and being like, "Oh, they changed the edit, like where the later one was more obvious." So, but I'll have to go double check that.
yeah, maybe
so
it's just
that's,
you didn't catch
that-
it the first time or something. Yeah. Whereas this one, you have a lot of pieces that were good, some pieces that were bad, but you put it all together, and somehow it became greater than the sum of the parts. Like, it was just so overall amazing. I think it still absolutely stands up today. Definitely cool. And nothing else to say there.
This is so strange. Like, having us unanimous on things,
Which is rare.
so rare that I'm starting to wonder if you've been paid off to agree. No.
It was Max.
I'll be honest. I was scared with GoldenEye that both of you are gonna show up and be like, "That was a classic." And then I was watching Mission
I was
Impossible.
too. When we went to Starship Troopers, we got to see it in the theater just a couple nights ago, and they both said they basically hated the movie. I was just like, "Oh, thank God."
Who said
I
they
hated
hated
GoldenEye. Hated GoldenEye. Not
Goldeneye.
Oh,
Not
okay.
Starship
not
Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
I was like, I love Starship
no,
Troopers.
yeah. I was like, I love
Maybe
Starship
that's why
Troopers.
we're here making a podcast.
I mean,
together,
Andy
so we have
obviously
some
hates Starship
agreeable-
Troopers because he didn't go. We went, so he hates it. So
I
that's
just
how that
like my
works.
son a little more. That's
Well,
No,
see, we
it's
like
okay.
the movie better than our kids. So,
No, I was worried about. I know it sounds unanimous, but I was worried someone's gonna come in and say, "This is like all weirdo. What is
it's
with
all
the
right.
Dutch
We'll
angles?"
pick something
and all
else
that,
next
yeah.
time to make sure there's some dissent among
We
the
need
ranks
some divisiveness. We
and
need some hot
have
takes.
some arguing going on.
That's
so.
all right.
But you heard it here. Mission Impossible is still cool. Let us know if you like it or which of the series is your favorite.
Go
Are you
watch
gonna go see
movie
the
one
new one?
again. Just go
Yeah,
watch it again.
go watch it again. Let
It's
us
so
know how it
different.
stands
Look
up
how
yourself.
young and clean Tom Cruise's face looks.
As opposed to now, his age is finally caught up with him. But I mean, this movie was 30 years ago, so it's been a minute. But thanks for watching. Make sure you hit all the buttons that you need to hit to see us next time, and see you.
Later.
See you next time.